Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ruth. If you are new to this channel, welcome. And to my old subscribers, I would like to say thanks so much for all your love and support. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Kaplan Nursing Entrance Exam. If you don't know what it is, the Kaplan Nursing Entrance Exam is one of the exams that schools offer before you can get accepted into the nursing program, the actual nursing program. So the Kaplan Nursing Entrance Exam is a standardized test, and this test is timed. So that is one challenge that most people taking it, including myself, struggle with. Sometimes just knowing that you have the clock ticking can have a negative impact on how well you do in the test. Because if you are not someone who is good at taking standardized tests, you can easily become stressed and not be focused and mess up on the test, not because you really do not know the material, but because in your answer choices, there may be one or two answers that seem to be perfect for that question. And if you are very anxious, you won't think well, or maybe you're going to end up overthinking it because of your anxiety and choose the wrong one. I am going to be telling you a little bit about the exam and what I did to prepare for it. First of all, the Kaplan Nursing Entrance Exam has 4 sections. It has the math, science, reading, and writing. On my test, the science section had about 20 questions. The math section had about 28 questions. The reading section had about 22 questions. And the writing section had about 21 questions. So that's how it is set up. I can't remember exactly in what order my questions appeared on the screen when I was taking it, but it is one section at a time. And you are also going to be graded for a section called critical thinking, but there is no specific question on the test that says critical thinking. In my opinion, they just grade you on how much question that were challenging you got right. That's what I think, because there is no actual section that is called critical thinking. You will see on your test results script that you were graded for critical thinking. So those are the sections. For the reading section, you will have about 3 to 4 passages, and each of those passages will have about 4 to 5 questions. And those questions will be testing your knowledge on things like knowing the main idea of the paragraph, what the author is trying to say. If the author was trying to make a claim, what would that be? You have choices, multiple choice answer choices to select from, what you think is appropriate to that question. Every passage will have different style of questions, so it's not like the same question to each paragraph. I'm going to talk about how to address each section when it comes to studying for it as I go along. So for the reading session, I highly encourage you to look for reading comprehension books. I did not purchase any book. I did go to the local library and borrow book from there. I borrowed book like the Kaplan Nursing Entrance Prep book. The library has those books that talks about math for dummies, reading for dummies, writing for dummies. So it doesn't mean that you're actually a dummy or whatever like that. So do not take offense to it. They simplify topics. whatever it is that that dummy book is talking about, it explains to you in very simple terms that you get to understand the material. I did not find one for science at my local library, so I did go to my school library and got some books on anatomy and physiology, and I brought them home and used them to study along with my already anatomy and physiology book that I used during my prerequisites. So for the reading section, like I said, you want to practice reading comprehension. Look for books that specifically says reading comprehension. There are passages in there. It may not be the same questions or passages that will come on the exam, but it gives you an idea on how to read a passage and digest it and be able to answer questions from the passage. So it's a good practice. And I'll also suggest that you Google Kaplan Nursing Entrance Exam Practice Test. There is a sample. They give you like few questions to help you just have an idea of what the Kaplan exam is going to be like. It covers all 4 sections and they are very helpful. I must say that the reading section was one of my very challenging sections because of it being timed. When you are taking the reading section, I suggest that you read the questions first before going into the passage, because sometimes those questions do not really require you reading the entire passage. A lot of the information in the passage is just fluff information, just to get you busy. So I suggest that you read the question, even if you feel like you cannot remember all the questions. If you can read your first 3 sets of questions, because I noticed that the question flow per paragraph. That's what I noticed. So if you can read your first set of questions and skim through the first 2 paragraphs of your passage and see if anything is covered in those paragraphs. If not, you head on down, continue skimming through it. So reading the question saves you time. For the writing section, it does come with passages as well, but the focus of the writing section is mainly on grammar, punctuation, syntax, knowing how to correctly use punctuations. You need to know the correct use of commas, semicolons, quotations, even something as simple as period, like knowing where to put it in a sentence that has no break. Looks more like a run-on sentence and they expect you to put the right punctuations. So a good practice of it will be using the dummy book I spoke about. Seemed to be really helpful to me, but you can use any other English book. Another thing I would say, if you're someone from my school, because this video was requested by one of my viewers who is currently going to my school, or the school I graduated from, Gwinnett Technical College. If you're in the Georgia area, if you took your English 1 and 2 at Gwinnett Tech, you will notice that most of your time in class you did a lot of writing papers, but they did give you, at least during my time, they gave you a pamphlet or a couple of sheets stapled together that focus on punctuation, grammar, and whatever like that. Use that. If I remember right, our final exam for English was pretty much on that. It wasn't writing a paper. That same sheet of paper you used to study for it, find it, go digging for it. It helps a lot. It hits points that are addressed on the Kaplan exam. If you go back to those paper I'm talking about and practice how to correctly punctuate, it will help you because it's the same concept, the same idea. If you know how to correctly punctuate on those questions that it gave you, you can also punctuate correctly on the Kaplan. So that was one thing I used as well for the writing section. On the writing section, they will ask you to find incorrectly spelled words. It did not seem to be too difficult, that part. You just need to know, how to spell correctly. So if you're struggling with spelling, then it means you really need to just, I don't know. I cannot really tell you how to study for that, especially if you have a short time to prepare for it. What I would suggest is when you're reading your passages for your reading section and you come across hard words or words that are not too familiar to you, try to just pause for a second and see how well you're able to spell it. Practice spelling those words. I honestly did not study for spelling for the Kaplan entrance exam because in my mind, I feel like while in school, I had always been good at spelling, so it wasn't my concern. If I got some questions wrong, which I did, I don't think it was the spelling. The spelling was more like a giveaway for me. And they are not really hard. And if another thing you can do is sometimes words single out to you. You can eliminate wrong choices. Maybe you're going to be left with one or two choices that seem to be correct if you're struggling with spelling, and you can make your best guess. So yes, there will be definitely words on there that you know in your mind that it's not correct. So you can eliminate those and then narrow down your answer choices to answer the spelling section. It's not a section, it's on the writing test, but the spelling questions, and there are a few of them on there. On the writing section, you will also have questions where they give you a couple of sentences and tell you which one needs to be put into the sentence. Sometimes they will ask you which of the following questions needs to be put on line 5 or line 6, or they will ask you which of these sentences needs to be eliminated. Which of these sentences is unnecessary to the passage? They will have multiple choice answers of different parts of the passage, and they will want you to choose which one needs to be removed. For those kind of questions, I suggest that you don't waste your time. Those exact sentences are in the passage. Read the sentence above it and the sentence below it. It gives you an idea on whether it does not fit or whether it fits. Now, it can be really tricky because they will put like 2 answer choices that kind of seem to fit, but when you really read in depth, it doesn't really fit. So to help you eliminate the wrong choice, read the top, read the bottom sentences. And if you strongly feel that this particular choice makes sense to you, read at least 2 sentences above and 2 sentences below. It will give you a clearer picture. That will be my suggestion on answering those kind of questions. Questions that want you to eliminate or questions that want you to add. Now, the adding part is kind of hard because you have to be going back, taking your eyes from, or trying to mark where you read the sentence, the line that they're asking you to, because they will give you a couple of sections, like I mentioned, on where you could add a sentence to the passage. Read the top of that. Go to that question, the sentence in the questions, read it and see if it makes. If it doesn't make sense, X it out. It helps narrow your choice. So in the passage, they will highlight a word or italicize it. So that's another tip. When you are skimming through your passage and you see a word italicized, try to either mark down on your rough sheet of paper the line or the number of the paragraph that has that italicized word. Most likely they're going to question you on that italicized word. That's what I observe. That is what I would suggest you do when you are taking the writing section. For the math section was not really difficult. Now, don't get me wrong, there were some questions that were kind of challenging if you're not prepared for it. So you want to go over topics like your conversion table, you want to go over ratio and proportion, you want to know how to convert from ounce to pounds, those different little things. Because sometimes the sentence, especially for the word problem, they will have a very simple problem, but then in it they will tell you that the numbers or the figures you will see in the questions were given in ounce, and then they want the answer in another conversion or unit. So if you don't know your unit, that simple question that you saw and thought you knew, but then you came to the answer choice is in ounce, you're going to get it wrong because of not knowing your conversion. So I would suggest you practice it. Some books will have it at like on the first page of the book. Some math books will have it. So I use the Math for Dummies as well, and I use other math book to practice. But the math section, you will see a lot of questions that you would think they're about to trick you. No, they are not tricking you. It's just a simple addition question to test your knowledge, subtraction, multiplication, division. But what becomes challenging when you start to do all kind of converting percentage to fraction, they can become a little tricky. So try to get that under your belt. We also have questions on from converting from fraction to decimal, decimal to fraction. And they do have a calculator on the screen that you can use. So that is very helpful. I suggest, unless you are asked 2 plus 2, please use your calculator. Because at least for me, when I'm anxious and I'm taking an exam, sometimes my brain does not function right. That's the honest truth. So I would suggest, even if you have added something up and you know in your gut is correct, if you're not running out on time, especially for those ones that have decimal and stuff, please do not be so overconfident. This is an exam that is going to determine whether you get into your program or not. Yes. So give it your best shot. You do not want to come from the exam and start thinking like, maybe I should have added that one question right. Maybe I should have done this and I did not do it. Doing the test is your opportunity to do it. So do it and live with no regrets. So yes, that is it for the math section. For the science section, I would recommend that you focus on anatomy and physiology. I did not see questions on chemistry, physics, or anything like that. The questions were basically anatomy and physiology. It does not mean it was easy, because like I said, you always see one or two answer choices that make a lot of sense to the question and it gets you confused. So I would suggest that you go over your different system of your body and know their function. Know their anatomy, know their function. Like knowing about your gas exchange, knowing about the function of your brain, knowing about the function of the kidney, the renal system, the urinary system, those things, know them. Knowing about the lungs, like the different loops of the lung, how air travel through your system, expiration, inspiration, ventilation, those kind of things. Read about it. Use your anatomy and physiology book. And another thing that I did not know about when because I took this exam multiple times. Let me tell you guys, I'm not going to come here and act like my way through nursing school was bread and butter. And that was one of the reasons why when I was asked to make this video, it took me time to put this together, because this was one of the exams that I struggled on. And if I must come clean to you guys, I took this exam 4 times. I'm telling you. Yes, I took the Kaplan exam 4 times. I would tell you, I did not fail those exams because I was dumb. I failed those exams because I was anxious. I failed 2 times. So the third and the fourth time that I passed, I took the third time and I passed. I got a 77 and I felt it wasn't good enough. So I went and retook it. The first time I took the exam, because my school allows you to take it twice in a year. Graduated in 2021, but my actual cohort was 2020. But because I did not pass the Kaplan entrance exam on my first attempt, I had to wait a whole year. And I had set my mind on going to my school. It was close by to me. I did not want to go to another school. Maybe I would call it being narrow-minded. I just wanted, it was either Gwinnett or at least before I failed my 2 exams. I did not create room for me taking or going to any other college. I did not take any extra classes, maybe because I was being cheap. So I did not take any extra classes that could allow me to go to another school. Going to another school will require me taking an extra class, and I did not want to do that. I had set my mind on going to Gwinnett Tech, and that was it for me. But that bit me in the butt, because I took my entrance exam. I had a very good GPA to apply. So I was like, my GPA is good. I had a 3.8 going in. But GPA is not enough. You have to pass this Kaplan entrance exam to get a seat into the program. So I took it the first time and I got a 71. So I wasn't doing so poorly. I was right close to the threshold, but I did not get there. I repeated it. I waited a couple of weeks and I took it again and I got a 73. Still not enough to apply. So I had to wait a whole year because, like I said, I had not prepared. I had not played my cards well. So I had to wait a whole year to retake the entrance. So during that year time, I was able to use those books. Like every time I'll go and borrow them. Once it's about time to return it, I'll return it and then re-borrow them. You do not have to go through what I went through. I strongly feel like my anxiety got the best part of me on those exams. Because most of the sections I got wrong all the time was the reading section. The reading section, a little bit of the science section, I kept doing low on the science section, but not very poor as the reading section. And the critical thinking section as well. I wasn't graded well on it. So I feel like I was getting most of my stronger questions wrong. Those questions that they were using to evaluate my strength, I was getting them wrong. Probably because I was overthinking it. On my third try, which was my first try for the year that I got accepted, I got a 77. But I was like, it doesn't hurt. I've already paid how much? Then we're paying $50 per entrance exam fee. I've already paid 150. I'm like, what is $50 more? So I went in and I also asked, and it said that your highest score is what they take. So it's not like I got a 77 and if I go to retake and I got a 75, they're going to take the 75. No, that's not how it works. They look at your overall highest score. So I was like, what do I have to lose? So I went and retook it, prepare again, retook it, and I got an 84. So an 84% plus my 3.8 and God's help got me into the program. So I'm just saying this story at the end of this video to encourage someone out there, because this is what this platform is about. Everybody's journey to nursing is different. I struggle with taking my Kaplan. But when it was time to take my NCLEX, I studied in 2 weeks, like I mentioned in my previous video, and I passed my NCLEX in 75 questions on my first try. So do not be discouraged. Your failing a standardized test does not mean that nursing is not for you. Do not be discouraged. Keep trying. Do not give up. If you persist, you will get there. Okay? So this is just an encouragement for anyone. And if you see, this is a sentimental topic to me. Yes. Because I hate failure. I hate it. Like, that's why I try to give everything my best. I do. I try to give it my best. I try to put in my best. But know that in life, it's a hard truth to accept. But know that in life, failure is part of life. Failure doesn't mean that you are incompetent. It just means you have to try again. So this is for anyone who has failed their entrance exam or whatever standardized test. It prepares you for the greater good. And I will tell you, my failing Kaplan 2 times and taking it 4 times actually helped me during my nursing program. I still did have anxiety issues on my test, but the last 2 times I took my entrance exam, I told myself that I was not going to look at the clock. And I took my exam without looking at the time, like worriedly looking at the time, because that's one thing I observed on my previous 2 attempts that I failed. I will read or I will answer like 2 questions and look at the time. See the time moving, like each second moving, and my heart is pounding, pounding, pounding. That messed me up. So, final words about Kaplan. You want to keep track of your time, but do not be paranoid about the time. Do not spend half of your exam watching the clock like I did. Please, do not do it. It's not going to help you. It's going to hurt you. Look at the clock. Maybe after you finish with a section, look at the clock. Do not make the clock like it's part of your questions. I'm serious. I know I sound very emotional right now. I failed this test 2 times. It sucks to come back from an exam and you have a great GPA and you cannot apply into your program because you failed it. It probably wasn't my time then. So I let it go. But yes, I wish all of you the best. All of you who are trying to get into nursing, whether you're taking the TEAS exam or the Kaplan exam, know that you can do it. You need focus, you need determination, you need to pray for calm to help you get through. pretty much that's how the test is structured, and that is how I studied for it. And I want you to also not just watch. I know you've been looking on YouTube for other sources for help. Yes, go on YouTube. I did use YouTube as well. There were not many content, but there are some topics. So I suggest you YouTube different questions, like about the math, how to convert from ratio to proportion. There are different little videos on those things. How to convert from fraction to decimal. It helps. Even for the writing, you can YouTube, grammar, punctuations. There are a lot of great resources on YouTube. Do not limit yourself. And lastly, you can also go to Quizlet and put in Kaplan Nursing Entrance Practice Exams questions, and some samples will come out that can be very helpful to you succeeding on your Kaplan exam. So this is going to be it for this video. It's a little bit long, but I think, like you can see, I have so much emotion about this topic, because failure is not a great thing, but it doesn't mean that you won't succeed in the end if you persist. Yes, it was a bitter pill, but you can swallow it like I did, and at the end of the day, reach to your dream of becoming a nurse or getting into your nursing program and doing well. So thank you guys. Thank you all so much for staying with me and for supporting me. If you are new to this channel, if you haven't already subscribed, what are you waiting for? So go ahead and subscribe to this channel and support your girl, okay? Thanks so much for all your love and support. Bye-bye.